Good morning. So happy to see you. Just letting everybody come on. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Annassa. We're so happy to be here with you this morning. So let's begin with our meditation. So have a seat and take your attention inside. And the mantra we'll use this morning is, I am in perfect union. And so we'll start today with the attention just below the belly button. And you say into that energy center, I am in perfect union. And feel into that space. You want to say the mantra, place the attention on the mantra in between the breaths. So you inhale, I am in perfect union. Then you exhale, I am in perfect union between the breaths. Inhale, I am in perfect union. Exhale, I am in perfect union. And you just feel how that feels to say that into the energy center just below your belly button. So go at your own pace for a little bit. When you're ready, drop your attention to the tip of your tailbone. And you might see a white light there. I am in perfect union between the breaths. As you're ready, drop your attention down below the earth. And you take your attention in a straight line from the tip of your tailbone down into the earth. I am in perfect union between the breaths. As you feel for your interdependence on Mother Earth. When you're ready, gently allow your attention to rise to the space just below your rib cage. This is the solar plexus. This is where we tend to store our anxiety. So breathe into this center. I am in perfect union between the breaths, and feel for a softening in this space. As you're ready, bring your attention to the center of your heart, in the middle of your chest. I am in perfect union between the breaths. As you're ready, bring your attention to your throat chakra, the energy center right in the center of your throat. Breathe into that space. I am in perfect union. In between the breaths. As you're ready, gently allow your attention to rise to the center of your head, behind and between your two eyebrows. As you breathe into the third eye. I am in perfect union between the breaths. Now take your attention to the top of your head. I am in perfect union. And now take your attention to the top of your aura. If you were to put your fingers together as far as you could reach with a circle around your head, that's where the point is. There's an energy center there. I am in perfect union. And as you're ready, begin to connect the top energy center above your head to the one below the earth with your breath. Inhaling down, I am in perfect union. Exhaling up, I am in perfect union. Still holding your attention with the mantra between the breaths. When you're ready, bring your attention back down to your belly button and into the room. We're so happy to be with you this morning. How may we serve? So this was kind of a hard week energetically. Felt like the whole country kind of couldn't sleep. First there was the time change, and then there was the election and the continuing process of counting the ballots that sort of kept everybody on edge. So we found it a very difficult week for sleeping and for holding our center in the quiet. So this morning we'd like to just take a minute to wish all those who were disappointed by the election peace, a path to happiness, a path to love and respect. And we commit ourselves to all of those things. So we wish everyone well. May all beings be free. So we'll bring up just for a minute, as the COVID numbers are increasing again, especially where we live in Portland and throughout the United States, we just want to wish everybody caution and care and be aware. How may we serve today?
I try to budget how much time I spend paying attention to the news. However, there is so much happening, it feels like I should be aware. How do I find the fine line between head in sand and remaining current?
So I think everybody on this call has the same difficulty with this. The question is, how do I stay sane? Although that's not how the person put it, but how do I stay aware with all the news that's happening and centered and not completely distracted by all of it, and yet still remain knowledgeable enough to participate in our democracy? So the first thing, the primary thing has to be at this point to be grounded and centered in yourself no matter what. So before that happens for you in the day, it's a mistake to touch the news. So just take a few minutes when you get up and center yourself, ground yourself, feel your breath, say the mantra a few times, feel in your body, and really center yourself in peace. Because the truth of the matter is, if we're not in peace, then nothing that happens in our life is going to be in peace. That comes from inside us. And so we have to make a commitment to that first of all. And then from that grounded, centered place, it really depends on your lifestyle, how much time and energy you want to put into staying current with current affairs. Now, because we're in a pandemic, it's important that you educate yourself as well as possible about your risk and make really good decisions. But aside from that, in normal times, checking 10 or 15 minutes, maybe twice a day, is probably enough to stay in touch with what's happening. But that will vary according to your interest, occupation, availability, and how affected you are by what you come in contact with. And this is kind of an important issue because you know the phrase, we are what we eat. Well, that's also true in terms of what we consume and where we put our attention in our daily life. So it's important that we bring some consciousness to how we spend our attention and what we cultivate in our environment. So we wouldn't recommend having the news on all day with people yelling into your environment, which is what it has been the last some months with the heightened emotionalism that really has been brought into the environment. And so I'll tell you, for us, a little bit of exposure goes a very long way. And so you want to watch your own body, your own emotional sensitivity, and see what happens to you when you turn on the news, when you tune into media on your computer or telephone. And just be conscious of how you feel, because if it pulls you off your balance point, then close it down, take some breaths, say a mantra, be in your body, be calm, and go about your day, because what you bring into your own environment ends up being what you bring into anybody else's environment that you share your life with. And if you want to commit yourself to bringing out the best in you and the best in them, then it requires some consciousness about what you feed yourself in terms of the frequencies that you choose to inhabit your life. And so we recommend a steady diet of laughter at some point in every day. Laughter is not something that you can ignore. It has everything to do with health. And so there's a tendency for everything to get very deathly serious in this particular time in our culture and our history. And so there are issues that are definitely serious, but it's also really important that we expand our range of happiness and the expression of happiness. And that comes from inside us, not from anything that happens outside of us. And it takes a commitment to actually decide, okay, I'm just going to watch comedy. I'm just going to watch this silly thing because it's going to make me laugh. And laughter is a very important state to introduce into my body every single day so that I don't get too heavy. All of this heaviness weights us down, and it weights us down in our frequency so that we can't experience the joy of being alive. And that's important. Even in serious circumstances, it's important that you have some happiness, laughter in your life every day. So we don't know if that totally answers the question, because there is a commitment that we all make to participating in our political environment. But we would say at this particular time, you can do the minimum. The big election already happened. We can all skate a little bit and bring some laughter into our lives, get a little bit lighter, and enjoy being here. How may we serve further?
I've felt a lot of darkness throughout the week. Hard to tell what is mine. I'm questioning the reality of the evolution of the human collective to a higher place. It's very turbulent times.
So the question is this: there, the person has felt a lot of darkness in the last week, and is questioning the uh, human collective evolution, if that's really occurring when there's so much turbulence in the environment. So, first, we want to say that if you're going to jump from point A to point B and you're standing there, what do you have to do first? You have to bend your knees, which means you have to go down before you can go up. And so that's what turbulent times are. They're they're the boiling phase before things start to go to steam, before people start to really invest themselves in a big way in cultivating what's unseen within them, which is this experience of collective union, personal union, and the awareness of personal union lends itself to the awareness of collective union, which is fifth dimensional reality, which is why we've been using the mantra, I am in perfect union, because we're talking about union with your highest self, which is the same source as the highest self of every human being, actually everything that lives on this planet. So the question is not whether the evolution is happening, but what the time frame is of this human evolution into the fifth dimension. And as we have said before, the reason why there's so many human beings on the planet who have chosen to incarnate at this moment is because this is a moment that doesn't happen very often, where the whole of humanity is poised to step from one dimension into another. And so that's why there's so many people here wanting to participate in this big change. But the only thing we don't know about this change is what the pace will be. And so we do know this: the way to increase the pace, the way to draw this experience toward us as part of the collective of humanity is to cultivate fifth dimensional reality in ourselves in every breath and every action that we can consciously take. And so this means that we be as vigilant as we can to our own frequency, to the frequencies we invite into our environment, and to the frequency which we are broadcasting to the whole. And that is happening whether we are in complete isolation or completely surrounded by people. We are always taking in and we are always broadcasting. We are receivers and broadcasters. We're both. And so we have a choice to a certain extent about what we receive by what we invite into our environment. Now, there are other things that we don't have a choice about, like, the chemicals in our air or water, and and the stars and the planets and their influence on us. We don't have a choice about whether or not we participate in that, but we do have choices about where we start from inside ourselves. And the more often we can bring ourselves to participate in love, peace, joy, and gratitude, the closer we are to participating in fifth dimensional reality. Now, that doesn't mean that we should punish ourselves when we find ourselves in other places. This whole awareness is not about rewards and punishment. And we can't exactly earn our way into fifth dimensional reality. Um, what we can do is declare ourselves there, and then do as much as we can to keep bringing ourselves back to there and raising what that there is up. Not a sentence I thought I would say today. So the point is that we want to be conscious of our frequency and do our best to raise it into love, peace, joy, and gratitude. But in discovering ourselves in another frequency, this is not a cause for alarm or self-punishment. This is a place where we use our awareness to recognize that something in us has presented itself to be brought into a higher frequency. Something in us has been gifted to us to resolve into harmony. And when we see these darker frequencies that arise in and around us as opportunities to become more love, peace, joy, and gratitude, then we can hopefully catch ourselves very early in any reaction to having these feelings. And of course, the first thing we say is, everything that's not mine, please leave. Because especially in turbulent times like this, it's very easy to pick up or tune into something that's not ours, be disturbed by it, and think it's ours. And then when it doesn't really move, we think, oh no, I'm no good at this, forget it, I can't do it, and we walk away. But say it a few times, everything that's not mine, please leave. And you can hold your hands out a few inches from your body and feel that energy dripping out your fingertips as the negativity from the environment that you've picked up, usually from who knows what, but very often these days from the news or other contact with media, and just let go of it. And then if there's anything left, that's yours. You say Ho'oponopono with complete acceptance. All parts are welcome. All feelings are welcome. Everything comes to be resolved into the harmony of love, peace, joy, and gratitude. Everything. So we hope that answers your question. We are all headed there. And we have the choice to be there most of our daily life, right now, inside ourselves, as we greet our inner. The easiest one I find at this point for me is gratitude. Just think of 3 things that you're grateful for and feel how that changes your being. Just 3 things. It can be as simple as food on the table and a place to sleep, as 2 of them. We are so fortunate. And very often we get tangled up in what we don't have instead of what we do have. And it is the getting tangled up in the experience of not having that really, really takes our frequency down. Because when we think about not having, what we attract to ourselves is more not having. And you think about it, where we put our attention is what grows. Where we put our attention is what gets nourished, what gets fed. So if we're thinking, oh, I really wish I had this, I really wish I had that, woe is me, I can't make this, I can't do that because I don't have, then we are cycling this energy of not having, this energy of lack. And that has a powerful impact on our being. But if we are saying, how lucky I am to have enough food to eat, to have a warm place to sleep, to have people I love in my life. How fortunate, how fortunate. We hope that answers your question. How may we serve further?
Having family members who feel unloved when I refuse to remove my mask when I visit. I am not comfortable with their practices to stay safe. I find it really painful that they feel unloved, that I don't feel safe enough to remove my mask, and they feel unloved and hurt since I won't. They feel the virus is a hoax and that I'm coming from a place of fear. They have asked I not visit since they do not want fear in their home.
Hmm. So the question is how to be with a situation where family members believe the virus is a hoax and the person is wearing a mask and is told that the other family members feel unloved because they are wearing a mask. Well, the first thing about this is that every person is responsible for whether or not they feel loved. Love doesn't come from outside us, the kind of love that really makes us secure in ourselves. It's our responsibility to choose that love for ourselves. And so, this is a very important lesson to understand yourself, that it's not your responsibility to be responsible for someone else's choice of whether to be in love or not. And it's important to be very clear about this because our matrix of belief, all of us are taught that love only comes from the outside. We're waiting for the love of our life. You know, we are waiting for somebody to love us. And the truth is, we get to choose love every second of every day. We do. It's our choice. And it's as simple as, you know, we're really taught that it's not okay to love ourselves. We're really taught that it's okay to love everybody else, and you're supposed to do it in great quantity. But loving yourself, you're the last person that gets it. So the way to retrain yourself back to loving yourself is you pick up a stuffed animal and you hold it to your heart. You hold it to your heart and you just pour love into it. And you will experience love when you do that. It's it's almost amazing how effective that is. It's very efficient. And if we could teach our children to just tug themselves into love every time they feel out of sorts, do you know what a different world this would be? It would be so amazing. This is what fifth dimensional reality is. It's we constantly come back to the love in ourselves. And we hold that, we hold to that, and that is our responsibility in order to participate in fifth dimensional reality, is to bring ourselves into love and to not burden the ones around us with the idea that they're not loving us enough and that's why we're unhappy. Once you realize how simple it is to love yourself, that attitude becomes a kind of insanity because it's not exactly how it works. The way it works is we love ourselves, and then in holding that love, we attract to us more love than you can imagine. It just comes because where our attention is what we are nurturing in our lives. And so, as we learn to control our attention by simply picking up anything and loving it until we get to the place where we can just love ourselves, take a deep breath and feel that love inside of us. This is really what meditation is about. Taking a deep breath. I am in perfect union. That's love. Perfect union is alignment with the all of the all that is. That's love. So when other people accuse you of not being loving because you make a different choice than they do, well, it totally depends on where the lines of power are in the situation. And so when you buy into what they're telling you, you are giving them the power to make you feel unloved or unloving. And just because they disagree doesn't give them power over you. So we would say it depends on where the relationship is, how you deal with this situation. For us, we would politely excuse ourselves and consider these relationships as ones to be taken into the Annassa temple, where we work in the unseen to heal the disharmony between us and carefully interact with these people as we reclaim our own love for self. And when we are strong in that love for self, then these interactions may or may not start to change. But in the meantime, you want to protect your own frequency from being punished. Punished is the word we'll use by the misunderstanding of others until we're strong enough to be in that situation without rejecting ourselves. This is the difficulty in that situation because these are family members that we have shared chemistry with. When we disagree, we tend to shut down and reject ourselves. So in that way, it's a difficult environment for us to maintain our own integrity with the love that we are choosing for ourselves. And so it's actually a gift to be removed from that environment for a certain amount of time to have the chance to heal yourself from the accusations of those who don't love themselves enough to allow you to disagree. We hope that answers your question. How may we serve further?
What can I do to support collective healing?
The question is, what can I do to support collective healing? Well, collective healing starts at home. So the first thing is to make sure that you are, as much as possible, vigilant about what frequency you are broadcasting. And so that means bringing yourself as often as possible into love, peace, joy, and gratitude, and cultivating the awareness of your own negativity so that when it arises, you heal that in whatever time it takes. Having accomplished that, then healing the collective means meeting every person that you interact with where they are, with love and respect. And that means that you first of all take the time to listen to what the other person's perspective is before you engage in any meaningful way. Because you have to understand who it is you're talking to before you know how to communicate. And often that takes a while. So in the beginning, keep it superficial. You know, and then as you know people better and better, you meet them where they are with what they think about, not with what you think about. And over time, as you cultivate flow in the relationship, then what can be talked about may be different over time. But we are not, our job is not to convert people to our matrix of belief. Our job is to be available to participate in shared exchange of love, peace, joy, and gratitude. That's really what we're looking to do. And in that shared participation, then there is some people want more of that. When they experience that, they want more. And then there's just a natural opening and flow and communication. And this is how people move from third to fifth dimension. It's not because of something that is said, it is because of something that is felt. How may we serve further?
I am having a lot of tension in my solar plexus. I thought it might be better since the election. Is there more we can do to relieve this tension?
Well, the first thing is to breathe into that space. I mean, this is the reason we called out to it today. We don't usually in our first meditation, but we too have been feeling a lot of tension right under the rib cage in the solar plexus, and this is where we tend to have stored old experiences of shock, disappointment, even physical attack. But when we have experiences that make us go, and everything goes up, that's when the solar plexus gets stuck. So when we feel that there's a block there, the thing to do is to breathe into it. First, release anything that's not mine. Please go. And then breathe into it again. Whatever's left. Hello, tension in solar plexus. What have you got to share with me? And see if you can name the feeling. Having named the feeling, say hello, fear or anxiety or pain or shame or guilt, whatever the feeling is that arises, welcome it. Welcome it into your awareness in the moment. And then you begin saying Ho'oponopono in whatever order it comes through you. And you're saying Ho'oponopono to your highest self. You're not saying it to any other. You're saying it to your highest self, because what you seek in practicing Ho'oponopono is the union, the perfect union with highest self. So, hello, anxiety. I see you. I see you have come to be brought into harmony. I love you. I'm sorry for whatever caused you. Thank you for coming forward. Please forgive me for whatever I've done to hold this in place. Whatever order these words come out, it doesn't matter. It is the feeling that you bring to greet this negativity that has been gifted to you from inside yourself to be brought into harmony with love, peace, joy, and gratitude. And if you have time, you sit and you work with that feeling and Ho'oponopono until until you experience an abiding peace, love, gratitude, joy. If it doesn't happen in the time that you have available, you say, thank you very much for coming, anxiety. We can speak again later. I need to do other things, but I will communicate with you again. And you kind of look at your schedule and pick a time. You know, it doesn't have to be in the same day, it can be in the next day. But you are making commitments to yourself to resolve these deep tension patterns that have been held for time, for a long time, sometimes decades. And so they don't always just disappear in 5 minutes. So when we commit to ourselves, then we are saying, I am committed to resolving this into harmony. And we begin to experience ourselves as having more flow and more trust. We begin to trust ourselves, what we say. When I say, okay, anxiety, I can't be with you again till 11 o'clock tomorrow, but at that time I will sit down and we'll do this again. And then when you're there at 11 o'clock tomorrow, and you may only have 10 or 15 minutes to give to it, but you give what you have, and you are teaching yourself trust. And interestingly, one of the hardest things for human beings is to trust ourselves, that we will actually be there for ourselves in the moments we're needed. And the reason for this is that we have a matrix of belief that every reward, everything we need comes from outside of us, not from inside of us. So it takes some training for us to retrain ourselves to putting our own needs, first of all, on the list. And then once they're on the list, really tending to them regularly so that we become the person that we really, really want to be. Thank you so much for your questions. We're so grateful. How may we serve further? So we always welcome your questions. Anything? Hmm. Well, we're happy to be here broadcasting, whether there are words involved or not.
How much weight do we give to astrology?
Oh, interesting question. How much weight do we give to astrology? It's a very interesting question. Hmm. Well, the first answer is consider the source of the interpretation, because there are a whole range of people doing astrology, and from extremely experienced to not very. So consider your source. That's the first thing we say. But ideally, with the finest astrologers, they are able to interpret an astrology chart in a way that can give you a glimpse into the blueprint that you came into this life with. And the best of them are not only very extremely knowledgeable about astrology, but also very intuitive about people. And so they combine this intuition with the moment of birth, which exposes the stars and the planets in a moment in time when you were born. And that creates the blueprint that you came in with. Now, is it identical to the blueprint that you would see if you had access to the Akashic records? Can't answer that question. But it's close enough that it can give you valuable information about things like the difficult periods in your life. You know, if you know that you're not going to have the possibility really of a relationship for the next 10 years in your life at a certain period of your life when that's all you really think about, if you know that that's not possible, then first of all, you don't feel like there's something wrong with you. Secondly, you know you can put your attention somewhere else because it's just not going to happen right then. And that can reorganize how you think about what your purpose is completely, just that one piece of information. And with the finest astrologers, you can have a whole array of pieces of information like that about your life. And so they can impact what you're expecting. And it also takes the a lot of the feeling of things that we have that we feel responsible for that we're not really responsible for. We just came in with that pattern. And so we can have a different idea, more information about what we are, where we came from, and what we're here for. And so with very fine astrologers, that can be valuable information. We hope that's helpful. How may we serve further?
Our topic is the past life carryover. How do we ID it and overcome?
Okay, so this is a question about past life carryover. How do we identify it and how do we overcome it? Hmm. Well, what we're going to say is this: there's no need to identify something as past life, particularly. It just makes things a little bit more complicated to think that way. Um, it's just simpler to bring whatever isn't in harmony in this moment inside you. It's simpler to just focus on that and bring it into harmony. The only time, well, not the only, we, but past life experience becomes relevant when we have how do we say this? Let's say it this way: it's helpful to know that we've probably been here a number of times before. And so when we have experiences inside ourselves that don't have a context, like a negative pattern comes up that we can't explain at all, then we can sort of regard it as something that didn't happen in this lifetime, or if we need to know about it in this lifetime, it will explain itself. But really, the thing about past karma is that we treat it the same way we do anything else that arises in ourselves, and we resolve it into harmony. And it's not exactly relevant about time and place. Many of the things that come up in us getting invested in time and place of a pattern's beginning can often be a big distraction when we can use our energy more efficiently to just resolve the pattern itself. And the thing to know is that if there is some experience in you that in its resolution requires that you know about it, you will be unable to avoid it. So that's how we would say it. So you don't have to go looking for past karma, is the word we would use. Just everything that rises up, welcome it and bring it into harmony. And if there's more you need to know, you'll definitely be told inside yourself. You'll have, visions of what happened or some other experiences. But not so much to worry about, and unless that happens for you, and then you still bring it into harmony. We hope that answers your question. How may we serve further?
Jumping back to astrology.
Yes.
Does C-section birth change your astrology chart?
We would say no, because the time of arrival is the same. It's the time of arrival that happens that creates the birth time, not the method of delivery. How may we serve further?
I am confused about who to say Ho'oponopono to. I have thought of difficult emotions as expressions of the lower self, so not appropriate objects for this practice.
Hmm. We say Ho'oponopono to ourselves and to our highest self in particular. And what we're doing is we are bringing the um, the unresolved frequencies of disappointment, unhappiness, fear, shame, guilt. We are bringing those into harmony so that we can experience ourselves in perfect union with our highest self, which is source energy, which is divinity itself. You could call it God, ultimate reality, consciousness, conscious awareness, whatever name you're comfortable with to call source energy. This is our quest to be in union with source as source and in this place at the same time. And in that perfect union is something very different from what our matrix of belief, which is what we were entrained in after we arrived on this planet. Perfect union is very different from that. And so when we say Ho'oponopono, we are saying it to that alignment that we have committed ourselves to discovering within ourselves. That's why it's called self-discovery. And so we take our attention inside, we invite whatever disharmonious energy or pattern has appeared, we invite it to be present, and we say the 4 sentences: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, to our highest self. And we will notice that the greater the intensity of the feeling that we can bring to these 4 phrases, we don't just say them as words, we say them with great feeling because we are attempting this union that is perfect and sacred space. We are attempting to access this within ourselves by apologizing to that space itself for not already being in union, by expressing our sadness for not being in union, by expressing our love for the experience of that union, and our gratitude for having that union available to us. How amazing. We can take a deep breath and suddenly discover ourselves in sacred space. So we don't exactly think about it as higher self as opposed to lower self. We think of it as higher self waiting to be revealed. And everything is higher self. It's just seen through a different prism of reality. As we bring it into awareness, then it is in its highest self, in its highest capacity for expression. And we begin to flow more and more from that in ourselves as we free ourselves by acknowledging these uh, unresolved emotional experiences that have gotten more and more dense over time, and we dissolve them into the harmony of love, peace, joy, and gratitude, and then move through our day from that. And every time some obstruction arises inside us, we take the time to go back inside, invite it forward, say Ho'oponopono, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, to our deepest self, until it's back in the driver's seat. And then we go along, we flow, we flow. Another thing rises up, we welcome it. It's another part of ourself to be brought into harmony. We say Ho'oponopono. And you notice whenever these experiences of obstruction happen, we don't go, oh no, I screwed up again. I couldn't hold it. I'm not there. There's something wrong with me. I give up. I can't do this. We don't do that. So, oh, here's another gift from inside me to be brought into harmony with love, peace, joy, and gratitude. And we do it, then we move forward. Then something else comes up. We don't punish ourselves for not being in perfect union. It's not about punishment, and perfect union is not exactly a reward. It's an experience that we come into and we come out of, and we come into and we come out of. And the more we can come into it and the longer we can stay there, great. And the less we come out of it and the shorter we can stay there, also great. But nobody stays there all the time, at least that we've met. There may be people. So we just keep going and we concentrate on the flow, that we're actually able to participate and that they're not hooks in it. We're not trying to get things from other people and we're not trying to keep them from stealing things from us. And we just are participating as we can, as well as we can. And we just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And amazingly, over time, our life really changes and our life experience really, really changes because we are engaging our feelings where they live and we are expecting the quality life from inside us, not from somebody outside us who's supposed to do something to relieve our pain. That's not going to happen. And when it does happen, it lasts for about 10 seconds. I mean, if we're really lucky, something great happens and it lasts for, 10 days? But the real abiding happiness that we can find inside ourselves, this is what we are cultivating. Every time we sit down and say Ho'oponopono to another part of the darkness within us, to another part of the pain, as we learn to completely love and appreciate ourselves as divine beings who are completely inseparable from that divinity. The idea of separation is what keeps us, it's probably the most powerful thing that keeps us unhappy. It's the idea that we are separate from our source. And nothing could be further from the truth. We wouldn't be alive if we were separate. We just wouldn't be alive. So as long as there's life, there's hope for this love. And the more we cultivate it in ourselves, the more we get to participate in it with everybody else. And it's not, it's not, love is such an overused word in our culture. Yes, love contains all of those definitions, but at its source, love is the definition of what the source is. Love, peace, joy, and gratitude point to that which is beyond that state, which doesn't have words, which is where we come from and where we return to. But the words love, peace, joy, and gratitude point to that space, as well as anything else we can think of to use to demonstrate it to you. How may we serve further?
I have a friend who has a habit of worry. I am making sure I keep myself in alignment and don't come into agreement with the concerns. How might I help him bring those feelings into alignment, or is this simply not my work?
So the question is this: the person has a friend who is quite anxious and tries not to bring that anxiety into their reality and wants to know if there's a way to help that person or if that's not their job. So, in terms of helping other people, as we said earlier today, we can only meet people where they are. That's our real job. And so if someone is attached to being anxious, if all they think about is their anxiety, unless they ask us for help, there's not much we can do. It does require an invitation. And you could do well to wait for an invitation when someone in your environment is experiencing emotional difficulty. If they are sharing it with you, you can even ask them, are you sharing this because you want my opinion, or do you just want to share this and have me be quiet? We often ask that question because it's important to know what the other person wants. Sometimes they just want us to share their anxiety, and we can do that. And we don't have to be anxious ourselves because they are anxious. And it's important to know if that's the choice that they're making, because it's a waste of energy to try to engage someone who is going to choose to be anxious regardless of what you try to do. So if that's their clear choice and they're not asking for your help, then you don't offer. Now, if they're anxious and they truly want to change, you can teach them Ho'oponopono. You can suggest that they seek help with qualified professionals. You can send them to us. There's any number of things that you can do. But we are not responsible for the choices other people make about their emotional state and their desire to change it, or lack of desire to change it. This is free will. Everyone gets to choose where they put their attention. Our job is to remind you that that is a choice. And having the choice, who would not choose love, peace, joy, and gratitude? Or to at least try to experience that and see our experiences that the effort that you put into experiencing the change in state and the cultivation of fifth dimensional awareness gives you back so much more than you put into it that it's unbelievable. And that's a big part of why we're talking here right now to you, because we want you to experience that. We love participating with you and bringing that experience to you. And we call it pollination, what happens when one person experiences gratitude. And then the person next to them experiences gratitude. And the person next to them experiences gratitude. And it just goes and goes and goes and goes. That's pollination. That is like that inner light being lit and shared and shared and shared and shared. And that's how it works. Because there's nobody who ultimately wants to be left out of love, peace, joy, and gratitude. We all want that. We just don't know how to get it. Thank you. How may we serve further? Okay, so we're coming to the end. Let's go back into meditation. We've so much enjoyed speaking with you today. What a great pleasure. So take your attention inside, and today let's just go straight to the heart center in the middle of your chest. And we'll continue to use I am in perfect union as the mantra that we say in the space between the breaths. Go at your own pace. Thank you so much for being here today. We have completely enjoyed being with you. Pure pleasure. May all beings be free.